Talk to me. Talk to me. But talk to me without uttering a single word. Nonverbal communication is the understanding through sending and receiving wordless clues. It can be hand movement, facial expression, or even body language. Different cultures have various ways of communicating, which, not surprisingly, can often lead to misunderstanding. The Italians, as we all know, the ones who are famous for their lively gestures as one of their main ways of communicating. One can say, tie an Italian's hands together and they cannot possibly have a conversation. Some of the gestures that they use are quite easy to understand, such as, c'ho fame, sei impazzito, and perfezione. But most of them are quite difficult to comprehend unless you are a true born Italian. For example, tu sei furbo, eh? L'è buono, and ma che dici? Then it goes on to questo posto è affollato, andiamocene di qua, vattene di qua, and last but not least, the universal. So, why is this? Why do the Italians use their hands so much when they speak? Well, one theory is that since Italy has been invaded by foreigners for so many centuries, the locals developed a secret coded language so that they couldn't be understood by their oppressors. Yet, another theory is that the Italians had migrated in search of work throughout Italy, the rest of Europe, and beyond, so that they developed a nonverbal way of communicating so that they could speak to each other outside of their hometowns. Lastly, another idea is that in overpopulated cities like Naples or Palermo, gesturing was simply a way of competing for attention and marking one's territory in a crowded area. So, gestures can be very effective, and they can truly liven up a conversation. But one needs to know how to use them correctly, otherwise they can backfire and they can get you into some serious trouble. For example, ex-US President George Bush went to Australia. He greeted the crowd with two hands up, his fingers in a V. He didn't realize that what an American would interpret that as a peace sign was an Australian vulgarity that could probably get him punched. So, another good example of misinterpreting gestures in different countries is in Finland, where standing with your arms crossed is a sign of arrogance, or in India, where showing the bottom of your bare foot or the sole of your shoe is extremely offensive. Did you all know that in Greece and in Bulgaria, nodding your head up and down actually means no? And in some Middle Eastern countries, the okay sign signifies the evil eye. But if you do this in Brazil or in Bulgaria, it actually symbolizes a certain anatomical part of the body. So, not only do we use gestures, but our facial expression also signal and cue strong emotions. Did you ever wonder why Americans smile so much? Are they actually happier than everyone else, or is it simply ingrained in their culture? Americans tend to smile when happy, confident, or simply neutral. But I tell you, most of the time, it's simply a way of making others feel more comfortable. One theory as to why Americans smile so much is the US has a long history of immigration. And you know, when that may be the case, one may have to smile a lot so they can build trust and cooperation between people from different backgrounds. Not only do we Americans tend to smile more often, but also much more enthusiastically. And that may not always transfer well in other countries. Like the time McDonald's went to Russia in the 90s, the bosses had to coach their employees on how to dial down their smile. Or when Walmart went to Germany, they had to tell their American employees to stop smiling so much at the customers, since some of these saw this as flirting. So, in other words, the American smile is a product of our culture. And like any other product, we'd like to export it around the world. Gestures are alive and well in all cultures and countries, even business cultures. Just think of Wall Street. Traders down at the stock market floor use a language called open outcry, which is a way of communicating what they want in a chaotic environment. There's the signal to buy, the signal to sell, buy 10, buy 1,000. Some of the traders' signals are even politically incorrect, especially when trading currencies, like the English pound, the dollar for the yen, and the German mark. So, what's the point? The point is to emphasize that nonverbal communication, such as facial expression, gestures, and body language, are extremely powerful tools, and we all need to understand them in our cultures, but most importantly, in others. It can bridge the communication gap between different cultures and allows us to hear what isn't said in these growing international communities. But at the end of the day, it's just you, simply you, on your personal stage. Heck, maybe even a real one, in front of an audience, learning how to become more sensitive to body language and nonverbal communication. That, my friends, is what makes you the best communicator you can be. Thank you.